You wake up every morning with plans, big plans, dreams that excite you, and the first thing you do is tell someone about them. You share your vision at lunch. You post your progress online. You explain your strategy to friends who nod politely, but secretly think you're just another dreamer. And slowly, without realizing it, you're bleeding out the very energy that should be building your empire. I am Solomon, and I accumulated more wealth than any man before or after me. But here's what most people don't know about my journey. The most powerful moves I made happened in absolute silence. While others talked about their plans, I was executing mine. While they sought validation, I was creating value. While they exposed every detail of their process, I protected mine like the sacred treasure it was. Right now, you're making a mistake that's costing you everything. You're exposing yourself too much, and you don't even realize the price you're paying. Every time you over-explain your dreams, you invite doubt. Every time you show too much of your process, you invite interference. Every time you seek approval for what you know is right, you give away your power to people who haven't walked your path. This isn't about becoming antisocial or hiding from the world. This is about understanding that your evolution is sacred, and sacred things require protection. There's a reason why diamonds form deep underground, away from surface pressures. There's a reason why the most valuable treasures are kept in vaults, not displayed in windows. Today, you're going to discover the transformative power of strategic silence. You're going to learn how controlling your exposure can accelerate your growth in ways that will shock you. This isn't just about changing what you say or don't say. This is about becoming the kind of person who understands that true power moves quietly, and real wealth builds in the shadows before it emerges into the light. The person watching this video right now is about to undergo an identity shift. You're about to stop being someone who seeks external validation and start being someone who trusts their internal compass completely. You're about to stop being someone who dilutes their energy through unnecessary explanations and start being someone who channels every ounce of focus into execution. This is your moment of awakening. The barriers in your life aren't what you think they are. They're not lack of opportunity or insufficient skills. They're the result of allowing too much access to your sacred process. And once you understand this, once you truly grasp the power of protection over your journey, everything changes. If this resonates with the part of you that knows you're meant for more, subscribe to this channel. Because what I'm about to share with you will transform not just how you approach your goals, but how you see yourself in relationship to your own power. Number 1, exposure is not growth. You post the gym selfie after the first week. You announce your business idea before you've written the first page of your plan. You share your relationship status the moment you feel butterflies. And somewhere deep inside, you believe that showing progress is the same as making progress. That visibility equals velocity. That exposure accelerates evolution. I am Solomon, and I tell you this truth with the authority of someone who built an empire while the world watched, yet kept my greatest strategies hidden until they bore fruit. You have been deceived by one of the most dangerous illusions of our time, the belief that showing your journey speeds up your destination. Exposure is not growth. It never was, and it never will be. Growth happens in the dark, quiet spaces where no one is watching, no one is judging, and no one is offering unsolicited advice. Growth happens when you're alone with your discipline, your doubts, and your determination. The moment you turn on the spotlight, you invite everyone else into your sacred space of transformation. Think of the seed buried deep in the earth. It doesn't announce its intention to become a tree. It doesn't send daily updates about its progress. It doesn't seek validation from the soil around it. It simply grows, silently, steadily, drawing strength from the darkness until it's ready to break through the surface. And when it finally emerges, it comes not as a fragile sprout seeking approval, but as an undeniable force of nature. But you, in your eagerness to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be encouraged, have confused the performance of growth with growth itself. You document every small win, celebrate every minor milestone, share every incremental improvement. And with each post, each announcement, each reveal, you drain the very energy that should be fueling your transformation. When I decided to build the Temple of Jerusalem, the most magnificent structure the world had ever seen, I didn't start by announcing my plans to neighboring kingdoms. I didn't seek their opinions on the design. I didn't ask for their blessing on my vision. I gathered my resources in silence. I studied the ancient wisdom in private. I prepared every detail away from curious eyes and competing agendas. The construction itself took 7 years. 7 years of deliberate, methodical, relentless work. And during those 7 years, many wondered what I was building. Many speculated about my intentions. Many questioned my methods. But I remained focused on the work, not the commentary about the work. I understood that premature visibility creates unnecessary pressure, and pressure without proper foundation leads to collapse. Your dreams are not entertainment for others. Your goals are not content for their consumption. Your transformation is not a performance for their approval, yet you treat them as if they were. You turn your most sacred journey into a public spectacle, and then wonder why progress feels so difficult, why motivation feels so fleeting, why results feel so elusive. Every time you expose your process prematurely, you invite interference. Well-meaning friends who tell you it's too risky, family members who remind you of past failures, acquaintances who project their own limitations onto your possibilities. Their voices become background noise in your mind, creating doubt where there should be certainty, hesitation where there should be momentum. The wise understand that there is a season for silence and a season for speaking. There is a time for building and a time for revealing. There is a phase for internal work and a phase for external demonstration. Confusion about these seasons leads to frustrated dreams and abandoned goals. I accumulated more wealth than any man in history, not because I was transparent about my methods, but because I protected them. I shared my wisdom only when it was complete, my strategies only when they were proven, my victories only when they were undeniable. This wasn't secrecy born of fear, but discretion born of wisdom. You must understand that showing progress doesn't speed up results. In fact, it often slows them down. When you expose your half-formed plans to the world, you subject them to energies they're not yet strong enough to withstand. You invite opinions that confuse your clarity, doubts that weaken your resolve, and pressures that distort your natural rhythm. True growth requires privacy. It requires protection. It requires the courage to work without applause, to improve without announcement, to transform without testimony. The strength you seek will never come from external validation. It will come from the quiet confidence that builds when you trust your process more than you need their approval. The most successful people I've observed throughout history had one thing in common. They understood the power of silent seasons. They knew when to speak and when to remain quiet. They recognized that premature exposure of their plans was like opening the oven door too early. It prevented proper development and led to disappointing results. Your next level of success is waiting for you in silence. Your breakthrough is being forged in the quiet hours when no one is watching. Your transformation is happening in the private moments when you choose discipline over comfort, focus over distraction, growth over approval. Stop performing your progress and start protecting it. The world doesn't need to see every step of your journey to respect your destination. Number 2, how exposure blocks your prosperity. There's a heaviness you carry that you rarely acknowledge. Every time you share your plans, something inside you shifts. What started as excitement becomes anxiety. What felt like clarity becomes confusion. What seemed like a straight path becomes a maze of contradictory advice and conflicting opinions. You told yourself that sharing would help, that transparency would accelerate your success. Instead, you've created a prison of external expectations and internal doubt. I am Solomon, the wisest and wealthiest man who ever lived, and I speak to you from the depths of experience that few will ever possess. The very exposure you believe is helping you is systematically destroying your ability to build lasting prosperity. Every opinion you invite, every doubt you entertain, every explanation you offer is bleeding away the mental energy that should be focused entirely on execution. Prosperity requires singular focus. It demands unwavering clarity about your direction and unshakable confidence in your decisions. But the moment you open your plans to external commentary, you fragment that focus. You dilute that clarity. You introduce variables into an equation that was already perfectly balanced. External opinions confuse internal decisions because they come from people who haven't lived your experiences, faced your challenges, or understood your unique circumstances. They offer advice based on their fears, their limitations, their understanding of what's possible, and gradually their voice becomes louder than your inner wisdom. I've watched countless individuals with brilliant ideas abandon them not because the ideas were flawed, but because they couldn't distinguish between their authentic inner guidance and the noise of well-meaning outsiders. They started second-guessing themselves. They began modifying their vision to accommodate other people's comfort zones. They traded their original inspiration for a watered-down version that satisfied everyone but accomplished nothing. Picture a master craftsman working on a delicate piece of art. He has a clear vision, steady hands, and years of experience guiding every movement. Now imagine if every few minutes, someone walked by and suggested a different color, a different technique, a different design. Even if their intentions were good, even if some of their ideas had merit, the constant interruption would destroy the craftsman's flow, compromise his vision, and ultimately ruin the masterpiece. Your prosperity is that masterpiece. Your financial success, your business venture, your career advancement, your investment strategy, they all require the same kind of focused, undisturbed attention. The moment you invite too many voices into your creative process, you lose the thread of your original vision. But there's something even more insidious than conflicting advice. It's the way envy disguises itself as concern. People will express worry about your ambitious plans not because they're genuinely concerned about your welfare, but because your success would force them to confront their own inaction. They'll frame their discouragement as wisdom, their fear as prudence, their limitations as reality. When I announced my intention to build a temple that would surpass all others, there was no shortage of advisors telling me it was impossible, impractical, too expensive, too ambitious. They presented their objections as careful analysis, but I recognized them for what they were: fear dressed up as wisdom, envy masquerading as concern, their own unfulfilled dreams projecting limitations onto my unlimited vision. The tragedy is that most people can't distinguish between genuine counsel and disguised sabotage. They interpret resistance as reason, opposition as insight, and slowly begin to internalize doubts that were never their own. They start believing that their dreams are too big, their goals too ambitious, their timeline too aggressive. They scale back not because circumstances demand it, but because other people's comfort zones require it. Mental energy is a finite resource, and every moment you spend explaining your choices to people who weren't invited to make them is energy stolen from execution. Every conversation where you defend your vision is focus diverted from building it. Every attempt to convince skeptics is power drained from the work itself. I learned early in my reign that the people who needed the most explanation were often the least qualified to understand. Those who truly grasped the magnitude of my vision required no convincing. Those who couldn't see it would never be persuaded by words alone. So I stopped explaining and started executing. You're draining your prosperity by seeking approval from people who lack the capacity to envision what you're building. You're diluting your power by trying to convince others of possibilities they can't perceive. You're exhausting your mental resources on explanation instead of execution. There's a deeper truth here that most will never grasp. Prosperity isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about cultivating the mental and emotional state that attracts and sustains abundance. That state requires confidence, clarity, and unwavering focus on your chosen direction. The moment you become dependent on external validation, you compromise that state. Rich people think differently than poor people, not just about money, but about whose opinions matter. They understand that the crowd's approval is often the enemy of exceptional results. They know that if everyone agrees with your plan probably isn't ambitious enough to create extraordinary outcomes. The prosperous protect their mental environment as carefully as they protect their financial investments. They understand that negative thoughts compound just like interest, and allowing toxic opinions into their minds is like allowing thieves into their vaults. Every time you expose your developing plans to people who aren't qualified to understand them, you're essentially asking for their permission to succeed. And most people, consciously or unconsciously, will withhold that permission because your success challenges their excuses for their own mediocrity. Stop bleeding your power through explanation. Stop fragmenting your focus through external validation. Stop compromising your vision through committee approval. Your prosperity is waiting for you in the silence of undiluted focus and the clarity of undisturbed decision-making. Number 3, the mistake of confusing transparency with wisdom. You pride yourself on being an open book. You share your struggles, your strategies, your successes, and your setbacks with equal enthusiasm. You believe that transparency builds trust, that openness creates connection, that sharing everything makes you authentic. And in a world obsessed with visibility, you've been rewarded for this approach with likes, comments, and the warm feeling of being understood. But deep in your heart, you sense something is wrong. Your progress has slowed. Your energy feels scattered. Your once clear vision now feels clouded by 1,000 different opinions. I am Solomon, and I built my kingdom on the foundation of strategic wisdom, not blind transparency. The distinction between these two approaches will determine whether you rise to greatness or remain trapped in mediocrity. Transparency without wisdom is not authenticity. It's self-sabotage disguised as virtue. True wisdom knows that not everything needs to be shared. In fact, wisdom understands that sharing everything is one of the most destructive habits you can develop. It dilutes your power, fragments your focus, and invites interference into areas of your life that should remain protected. The modern world has convinced you that withholding information is dishonest, that privacy is suspicious, that keeping certain thoughts and plans to yourself is somehow inauthentic. This is a lie designed to keep you weak and controllable. The truly powerful have always understood the sacred nature of selective sharing. Not because they're hiding something shameful, but because they understand that different people deserve different levels of access to your inner world. Your deepest dreams, your developing strategies, your private struggles, they are not public property. They are sacred territories that should be guarded as carefully as you would guard your most precious possessions. Think of your mind as a magnificent palace with many rooms. Some rooms are public spaces where visitors are welcome. Others are private chambers reserved for trusted friends. And some are sacred sanctuaries where only you should enter. Transparency without boundaries is like removing all the doors from your palace and allowing strangers to wander freely through every room. When I ruled Israel, I understood that the throne room, the public courts, and my private chambers served different purposes and required different levels of access. The people could approach me in the public spaces for justice and guidance. My advisors could meet with me in the council chambers for matters of state. But my deepest thoughts, my most sensitive plans, my moments of doubt and discovery. These belonged to me alone or were shared only with those who had earned the privilege through loyalty and wisdom. You've been taught to mistake oversharing for honesty, but real honesty requires discernment. It requires the wisdom to know what to share, when to share it, and with whom to share it. Telling everything to everyone is not authenticity. It's a lack of boundaries that ultimately serves no one. Those who say everything lose control because words have power, and power shared indiscriminately becomes power lost. Every time you reveal a plan that's still in development, you give others the ability to influence, discourage, or redirect your efforts. Every time you share a doubt or fear, you invite others to confirm or amplify it. Every time you expose your vulnerabilities without strategic purpose, you hand others weapons they may use against you, even unconsciously. I once knew a merchant who prided himself on his complete honesty in all business dealings. He would tell customers about every flaw in his products, every doubt about his pricing, every concern about his suppliers. He believed this transparency would build trust and loyalty. Instead, it created constant doubt and hesitation among his customers. They began questioning not just his products, but his competence as a merchant. His business slowly declined not because he was dishonest, but because he was indiscriminately honest without wisdom. Another merchant I observed was equally honest but strategically selective. He never lied about his products, but he emphasized their strengths while addressing concerns only when directly asked. He shared his expertise when it served his customers, but kept his personal doubts and internal processes private. His business flourished because customers trusted his competence and felt confident in their purchases. The difference wasn't in their level of honesty, but in their level of wisdom about how to apply that honesty strategically. Your life requires the same strategic approach. Your goals, your relationships, your career, your finances, they all benefit from honest communication applied with wisdom rather than transparency without boundaries. Wisdom understands that sharing your every thought doesn't make you more trustworthy. It makes you more predictable and therefore easier to manipulate. Wisdom knows that revealing every strategy doesn't make you more collaborative. It makes you more vulnerable to interference. Wisdom recognizes that exposing every weakness doesn't make you more human. It makes you a target for those who would exploit your vulnerabilities. This doesn't mean you should become secretive or deceptive. It means you should become selective and strategic. Share your victories when they're complete, not while they're forming. Discuss your plans with people who have the wisdom to offer valuable input, not with anyone who asks. Express your struggles to those who can truly help, not to everyone who will listen. The most successful people throughout history have mastered this balance. They were known for their integrity, but they were also known for their discretion. They built trust through consistent actions, not constant revelations. They maintained mystery not out of deception, but out of wisdom. You must learn to distinguish between transparency as a tool and transparency as a compulsion. Used wisely, selective sharing can build deeper relationships, create strategic advantages, and protect your most important endeavors while they develop. Used carelessly, indiscriminate transparency becomes self-sabotage. The person you're becoming requires more sophisticated communication skills than simply telling everyone everything. Growth demands that you become selective about who gets access to which parts of your world. Maturity means understanding that authentic relationships are built on mutual respect and appropriate boundaries, not on unlimited access. Stop confusing the absence of boundaries with the presence of authenticity. True wisdom protects what matters most while sharing what serves the highest good. Number 4, Solomon's view on discretion. The crown weighs heavy not because of its gold, but because of the secrets it holds. Every night, as I walked the marble floors of my palace, I carried plans that could reshape nations, strategies that could topple kingdoms, and wisdom that could transform civilizations. Yet my lips remained sealed. My advisors whispered amongst themselves, trying to decipher my intentions. Foreign dignitaries attempted to extract my secrets through flattery and gifts. Even my closest allies pressed for details about my developing visions. But I understood something they could not. True power is preserved through silence, and authority is maintained through mystery. I am Solomon, and the discretion I practiced wasn't born from paranoia or arrogance. It was born from understanding how power actually works. Those who reveal their strategies before executing them invite interference. Those who expose their plans while they're still forming subject them to premature judgment and external modification. Those who share their vision with everyone dilute its power and compromise its purity. When I decided to build the temple, the most magnificent structure ever conceived, I didn't begin with public announcements or committee discussions. I began with silent planning. I studied architectural principles in private. I calculated resources in solitude. I designed every detail away from curious eyes and competing opinions. The project lived and grew in the protected space of my mind before it ever touched the external world. My advisors would sometimes question this approach. They would suggest that sharing the vision earlier would generate more support, attract better craftsmen, secure additional funding. But I knew something they didn't understand. Premature exposure kills more dreams than opposition ever could. The moment you reveal an incomplete vision, you invite others to complete it according to their understanding rather than yours. Silence preserved my authority because it maintained the element of surprise that all great leaders require. When people can't predict your next move, they can't position themselves to block it. When they don't understand your complete strategy, they can't undermine parts of it. When they're uncertain about your capabilities, they can't calibrate their resistance accordingly. I watched other kings announce their military campaigns months in advance, believing that transparency would build support among their people and intimidate their enemies. Instead, it gave their opponents time to prepare defenses and form alliances. Their honesty became their weakness, their openness became their downfall. My victories came before explanation because I understood that success speaks louder than words, and results require no justification. When my temple was finally complete, when its golden walls caught the sunlight and its beauty took away the breath of every observer, no one questioned my vision or my methods. The magnificence of the result silenced every critic and validated every decision. But during the 7 years of construction, when the work was vulnerable and incomplete, when setbacks could have discouraged workers and cost overruns could have attracted political opposition, I protected the project through discretion. I shared information on a need-to-know basis. I revealed progress only when it served the work itself, not when others demanded updates. This wasn't deception, it was protection. Just as a shepherd protects his flock from wolves, a leader must protect his vision from premature exposure to forces that could destroy it. The wolves of doubt, the predators of discouragement, the scavengers of half-formed criticism, they all hunt for vulnerable dreams and developing plans. I learned this principle from observing nature itself. The eagle doesn't announce where she's building her nest until her eggs are safely hatched and her young are strong enough to fly. The lion doesn't reveal his hunting strategy until his prey is within striking distance. The wise farmer doesn't boast about his harvest until the grain is safely stored in his barns. Yet humans, in their need for validation and connection, consistently violate these natural laws of discretion. They announce their intentions before they've developed their capabilities. They share their dreams before they've built their discipline. They reveal their strategies before they've secured their resources. When the Queen of Sheba came to test my wisdom, she expected to find a king eager to display his knowledge, desperate to prove his reputation. Instead, She found a ruler who answered questions with questions, who revealed wisdom only in response to demonstrated readiness to receive it, who maintained mystery even while demonstrating capability. Her surprise at this approach taught me something profound about human nature. Most people expect transparency from those in power because they've never held real power themselves. They don't understand that discretion isn't about hiding weakness. It's about protecting strength while it develops and preserves authority while it operates. The modern world has forgotten this ancient wisdom. It demands instant access to information, immediate explanations for every decision, real-time updates on every process. But this demand for transparency doesn't come from wisdom. It comes from impatience and insecurity. Those who truly understand power respect the need for strategic silence. My wealth accumulated not because I shared my investment strategies with everyone who asked, but because I protected my methods until they were proven and perfected. My trade routes remained profitable not because I revealed their locations to potential competitors, but because I guarded their secrets until my dominance was unshakable. Even my relationships with other rulers were built on strategic discretion. I shared enough information to build trust and facilitate cooperation, but never so much that they could replicate my advantages or predict my responses to future challenges. This balance allowed me to maintain peaceful relationships while preserving my kingdom's strategic superiority. The lesson for your life is clear and unavoidable. Your developing plans deserve the same protection I gave my greatest projects. Your emerging strategies require the same discretion I applied to my most sensitive negotiations. Your growing wisdom needs the same careful guarding I provided for the most precious knowledge in my kingdom. Don't mistake secrecy for wisdom, but don't confuse indiscretion with authenticity either. True wisdom knows when to speak and when to remain silent, when to reveal and when to protect, when to share and when to guard. The king protects his plans not from fear, but from understanding. Victory comes before explanation because results need no defense. Number 5. How to reduce exposure without isolating yourself. The fear creeps in quietly. As you begin to understand the power of strategic silence, a new anxiety emerges. If you stop sharing everything, will people think you're becoming antisocial? If you guard your plans more carefully, will you lose the connections that matter? If you reduce your exposure, will you accidentally isolate yourself from opportunities and relationships that could support your growth? I am Solomon, and I faced this same dilemma throughout my reign. The balance between necessary discretion and beneficial connection is one of the most sophisticated skills a wise person can develop. You don't need to choose between protecting your vision and maintaining meaningful relationships. You need to learn the art of selective sharing. The key lies in understanding that reducing exposure doesn't mean eliminating connection. It means becoming intentional about what you share, when you share it, and with whom you share it. This isn't about building walls. It's about installing doors with locks that you control. Carefully choose what to share based on 3 simple criteria. First, will sharing this information serve a constructive purpose? Second, is the person I'm sharing with qualified to understand and respond helpfully? Third, is this the right timing for this revelation? These 3 filters will dramatically improve the quality of your communications while protecting what needs protection. Most people share information for emotional release rather than strategic purpose. They talk about their problems to feel heard, their plans to feel validated, their progress to feel acknowledged. But wise communication serves the information being shared, not just the person sharing it. When someone asks about your business plans, you don't owe them a complete explanation. You can acknowledge their interest while maintaining appropriate boundaries. When friends inquire about your personal goals, you can share your enthusiasm without revealing your strategy. When family members question your decisions, You can express appreciation for their concern while keeping your reasoning private. This selective approach actually deepens your relationships because it ensures that what you do share is meaningful and purposeful rather than compulsive and scattered. Quality of communication improves when quantity is thoughtfully reduced. I maintained relationships with rulers throughout the known world, but each relationship operated within appropriate boundaries. With some, I discussed trade opportunities. With others, I explored philosophical questions. With a few, I shared personal insights about leadership and wisdom. But none had access to everything, and this selectivity made each relationship more valuable, not less. Keep early-stage projects off the radar completely, until they reach a level of development where external input could be genuinely helpful rather than merely curious. This doesn't mean working in complete isolation. It means choosing your advisors and collaborators based on their ability to contribute rather than their desire to know. There's a fundamental difference between secrecy born from shame and discretion born from wisdom. Shame-based secrecy isolates you from potential help and support. Wisdom-based discretion connects you with the right people at the right time for the right reasons. Consider the difference between announcing that you're starting a business versus quietly developing your business concept, testing your market, building your initial systems, and then selectively sharing specific aspects with people who can provide relevant expertise or resources. The first approach invites general commentary from everyone. The second approach attracts specific value from qualified individuals. Your routine deserves particular protection because it's the foundation of all your other achievements. When people know your schedule, they feel free to interrupt it. When they understand your habits, they feel entitled to comment on them. When they're aware of your disciplines, they often try to modify them according to their preferences or limitations. I maintained certain practices that remained private throughout my reign. My morning contemplation time was sacred and unannounced. My evening walks through the palace gardens were solitary and unscheduled. My study sessions with ancient texts were individual and unshared. These protected routines became the source of wisdom and strength that fueled all my public accomplishments. Your finances require even more careful protection. The moment people know the details of your economic situation, they begin making assumptions about what you can afford, what you should spend, what you ought to share. They project their own relationship with money onto yours and offer advice based on their comfort zones rather than your capabilities. Financial discretion isn't about hiding wealth or poverty. It's about maintaining the privacy necessary to make decisions based on your values and goals rather than other people's expectations and judgments. When your financial plans remain private, you're free to allocate resources according to your wisdom rather than their opinions. Your goals deserve protection during their formative stages because premature exposure subjects them to energies they're not yet strong enough to withstand. A seedling needs protection from harsh winds until its roots grow deep and its stem grows strong. Your developing ambitions need similar protection from harsh criticism until your commitment grows deep and your confidence grows strong. This doesn't mean you can't discuss goals at all. It means you discuss them strategically. Share your commitment to growth without revealing specific targets. Express your enthusiasm for improvement without detailing exact timelines. Communicate your dedication to excellence without exposing your methods to unnecessary scrutiny. The art lies in satisfying people's curiosity enough to maintain relationships while protecting the essential elements that require privacy to develop properly. You can be warm without being completely open, friendly without being entirely transparent, connected without being constantly available. True connection comes from authentic interaction, not total exposure. The relationships that matter most will respect your boundaries and even appreciate your wisdom in maintaining them. Those who can't respect appropriate privacy weren't qualified for deep connection anyway. Learn to share your light without revealing all your sources, your strength without exposing all your strategies, your growth without documenting all your methods. The world benefits from your wisdom, but your wisdom benefits from selective protection. Number 6, silence as an unlocking tool. The noise is suffocating you. Every notification demanding attention, every conversation requiring response, every opinion begging for acknowledgement, every question insisting on answers. You move through your days in a constant state of reactive engagement, responding to the urgent while neglecting the important, addressing the loud while ignoring the profound. And in this perpetual state of external focus, you've lost touch with the most powerful tool available to any human being, the transformative power of deliberate silence. I am Solomon, and silence was not emptiness in my life. It was fullness. It was not the absence of wisdom. It was the presence of deep understanding. In the quiet spaces between words, between decisions, between actions, I found the clarity that enabled me to build an empire and accumulate wisdom that still guides humanity thousands of years later. Silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is the presence of possibility. It is the space where your deepest insights emerge, where your clearest decisions form, where your most powerful strategies develop. But modern life has convinced you that silence equals inactivity, that quiet means unproductive. That reflection is a luxury you can't afford. This is perhaps the most expensive lie you've ever believed. Less noise creates more clarity because your mind was never designed to process the constant stream of information, opinions, and stimuli that modern existence demands. Your brain, like a sophisticated instrument, requires quiet to calibrate itself, to distinguish between what matters and what merely makes noise, to separate signal from static. When I needed to make the most important decisions of my reign, I didn't gather more advisors, schedule more meetings, or seek more opinions. I created more space. I protected more time. I cultivated more silence. In those quiet moments, solutions emerged that no amount of discussion could have produced. Insights surfaced that no committee could have generated. Wisdom appeared that no consultation could have provided. Think of your mind as a muddy pool of water. Every external input, every interruption, every demand for your attention stirs up the sediment, making it impossible to see clearly to the bottom. But when you stop stirring, when you create stillness, the mud settles and the water becomes clear. Suddenly, you can see things that were always there but were obscured by the constant agitation. Your breakthrough is waiting in that clarity, but you'll never access it while your mental environment remains perpetually disturbed. Less interference leads to more focus, because every person who offers input on your plans divides your attention between your original vision and their interpretation of it. Every voice that questions your direction creates internal debate where there should be internal alignment. Every opinion that challenges your approach fragments your energy between defending your choices and implementing them. Focus is not the ability to think about many things at once. Focus is the ability to think about one thing so completely that everything else becomes irrelevant. But this kind of singular attention requires protection from the constant interruptions that modern life presents as normal. I learned to guard my thinking time as jealously as I guarded my treasury, because I understood that clear thinking was more valuable than any material resource. A wise decision made in silence could generate more wealth than a dozen hasty choices made under pressure. A strategy developed in quiet contemplation could prevent more problems than countless reactive solutions. During the construction of the temple, I established specific periods when no one was allowed to approach me with questions, updates, or concerns. These weren't periods of laziness or withdrawal. They were periods of intensive mental work, where I could think several moves ahead, anticipate potential problems, and develop solutions before they were needed. My advisors initially resisted this approach. They believed that leadership required constant availability, immediate responses, perpetual engagement. But they learned that my decisions improved dramatically when they emerged from protected thinking time rather than reactive pressure. Less anxiety leads to more progress because anxiety is often the result of trying to process too much information simultaneously, while lacking the quiet space necessary to organize it effectively. When your mind is constantly receiving new inputs, it cannot properly integrate and prioritize them, leading to the overwhelming sensation that everything is urgent and nothing is clear. Silence allows your nervous system to reset, your priorities to reorganize, and your energy to consolidate around what truly matters. In the quiet, you stop reacting to every stimulus and start responding from your center of wisdom. I noticed that my most anxious periods coincided with my busiest social seasons, when diplomatic obligations required constant interaction with visiting dignitaries, when court ceremonies demanded continuous public presence, when state affairs necessitated endless meetings and consultations. Despite the external productivity, my internal clarity suffered, and consequently, the quality of my decisions declined. But during the quiet seasons, when I could retreat into contemplation, when I could think without interruption, when I could plan without immediate implementation pressure, my wisdom deepened and my effectiveness increased. The periods of silence weren't breaks from the work. They were essential components of the work itself. Your life requires the same rhythm, the same balance between engagement and withdrawal, between input and processing, between receiving information and integrating wisdom. Without regular periods of deliberate silence, you're operating at a fraction of your potential capacity. This silence doesn't require meditation retreats or monastic isolation. It requires the disciplined creation of protected thinking time in your daily routine. 30 minutes in the morning before checking messages. Quiet walks without podcasts or phone calls. Evening reflection time before consuming entertainment. These small investments in silence will yield enormous returns in clarity, focus, and progress. You'll find that problems solve themselves more easily, decisions feel more natural, and your next steps become obvious rather than overwhelming. The answers you've been seeking through endless research, constant consultation, and perpetual information gathering are already within you, waiting in the silence you've been too busy to access. Stop filling every quiet moment with noise. Start treating silence as the powerful tool it is rather than the void you fear it might be. Number 7. When exposure becomes safe again. You've learned to protect your vision, guard your strategies, and cultivate power in silence. But now you face a different challenge, knowing when to step out of the shadows and into the light. When does discretion become counterproductive? When does privacy become isolation? When is it time to reveal what you've been carefully building in the quiet spaces of your life? I am Solomon, and the transition from protected development to strategic revelation was one of the most crucial skills I mastered as both a king and a builder of lasting wealth. The timing of exposure is as important as the quality of what you're exposing. Reveal too early, and you subject incomplete work to premature judgment. Wait too long, and you miss the opportunities that visibility creates. Exposure becomes safe again when the result is already consolidated, when your vision has moved from fragile possibility to undeniable reality. When I finally unveiled the completed temple, no one could question its magnificence, alter its design, or diminish its impact. The 7 years of protected construction had produced something so extraordinary that criticism became impossible and interference became irrelevant. Your developing business idea remains vulnerable to discouragement and modification, while it exists only as concept and hope. But once you've tested the market, proven the model, and generated consistent results, sharing your success story becomes powerful rather than risky. The The difference between sharing a dream and sharing an accomplishment is the difference between vulnerability and strength. This doesn't mean you must wait until everything is perfect before revealing anything. It means you wait until the core structure is strong enough to withstand external pressure and input. A building can be safely revealed once its foundation is solid and its frame is secure, even if the interior finishing work continues. Your projects and goals follow the same principle. When the Queen of Sheba arrived to test my wisdom, she encountered not a king with theories about leadership, but a ruler whose kingdom demonstrated the practical application of wisdom. She didn't hear about my plans for prosperity. She witnessed the evidence of prosperity already achieved. The difference transformed skepticism into admiration, questions into respect. The same transformation happens in your life when you shift from explaining what you're going to do to demonstrating what you've already accomplished. People argue with plans but respect results. They question intentions but acknowledge achievements. They resist theories but accept proof. Your business becomes safe to discuss once it's generating revenue rather than just consuming investment. Your fitness journey becomes inspiring to share once you've established sustainable habits rather than just good intentions. Your educational pursuits become worth mentioning once they've produced tangible improvements in your capabilities rather than just impressive credentials. When no one else can interfere, exposure transforms from liability to asset. Once your business model is proven and your systems are established, sharing your story can inspire others and attract opportunities. Once your skills are developed and your results are consistent, visibility can lead to collaboration and growth. Once your wisdom is tested and your judgment is proven, influence becomes a natural extension of your expertise. But the key phrase here is, no one else can interfere. This doesn't mean no one else can offer input or assistance. It means the core of what you've built is solid enough that external opinions cannot derail your progress or external pressures cannot compromise your vision. I could safely discuss my architectural innovations once the temple was complete, because no one could tear down what was already standing. I could share my economic strategies once my wealth was established, because no one could steal what was already secured. I could reveal my wisdom once my kingdom was flourishing, because no one could discredit what was already proven. Silence has already fulfilled its role when protection is no longer necessary for development. The same quiet discretion that enabled your initial growth may eventually limit your expanded influence if maintained beyond its useful season. There comes a time when sharing your story serves not just your continued growth, but the growth of others who could benefit from your example. This transition requires wisdom to recognize when you've moved from the vulnerable phase of development to the secure phase of demonstration. The signs are clear when you learn to read them. Your confidence feels internal rather than dependent on external validation. Your motivation comes from the work itself rather than from others' approval of the work. Your direction feels certain regardless of others' opinions about your path. When you reach this point, strategic sharing becomes a tool for multiplication rather than a risk of diminishment. Your proven results can inspire others without threatening your own progress. Your established methods can be discussed without fear of premature interference. Your demonstrated wisdom can be shared without concern about unwanted modification. But even in this season of safe exposure, wisdom maintains boundaries. You share outcomes without necessarily revealing all methods. You discuss results without exposing all strategies. You demonstrate wisdom without surrendering all secrets. Strategic revelation is still strategic, even when the risks have diminished. The master craftsman can safely display his completed masterpiece, but he doesn't necessarily reveal all the techniques that made it possible. The successful entrepreneur can share her journey without disclosing every competitive advantage. The wise leader can inspire through transparency, while maintaining appropriate privacy. Your story becomes a gift to others when it's complete enough to offer guidance rather than confusion, established enough to provide hope rather than false expectations, proven enough to deliver wisdom rather than mere opinion. The silence that protected your growth transforms into selective sharing that extends your impact. What you guarded in privacy becomes what you offer in service. What you protected in discretion becomes what you provide in leadership. When results speak louder than explanations ever could, when achievements require no defense, when success needs no justification, then exposure becomes safe again, because silence has already fulfilled its role. Picture a master gardener walking through his private sanctuary at dawn. The most precious flowers grow in the sections hidden from public view, protected by walls that block harsh winds and curious eyes. These blooms, shielded during their most delicate stages, eventually produce seeds of extraordinary beauty and resilience. But the flowers planted in the open courtyard, exposed to every passerby's commentary and every storm's fury, struggle to reach their full potential. Your life is that garden, and you are its gardener. Every dream, every goal, every transformation you seek requires the same careful protection during its most vulnerable phases. The wisdom you've discovered today isn't about building walls to hide from the world, but about creating sacred spaces where your deepest potential can unfold without interference. You now understand that the energy you've been bleeding through explanation belongs to execution. The focus you've been fragmenting through exposure belongs to creation. The power you've been diminishing through premature revelation belongs to manifestation. This shift in your relationship with visibility will ripple through every area of your life. Your decisions will feel clearer because they emerge from internal wisdom rather than external pressure. Your progress will accelerate because your energy flows toward building rather than defending. Your confidence will deepen because it's rooted in authentic achievement rather than borrowed validation. The person who began watching this exploration of exposure and silence is not the same person receiving these words now. You've awakened to a more sophisticated way of moving through the world, one that honors both connection and protection, both sharing and discretion. If this resonates with the part of you that recognizes wisdom when it appears, join this community of conscious individuals who understand that true strength often moves quietly and real power develops in the spaces between words. The master gardener tends his sanctuary not in isolation, but in purposeful solitude, knowing that what grows in protected silence eventually blesses the entire world.